Hello, everyone. Welcome to our last session for the Education Summit. And I'm so excited to introduce someone who is doing something very new in the realm of education and I guess families too. So Kim is a parent coach. And even though it is a new concept, it is absolutely lovely to just give people the resources they need so we can move forward as a community and as a collective in the best interest of our children. And so without further ado, Kim.
Thank you, Jeanette. Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. I'm super excited to collaborate with you, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity to share my life's work and talk about the mission that I'm on. So thanks for having me today. I will share my screen right now. I have some slides to go through, and here we go. You see that okay? Perfect. All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to my talk. This is all about raising and educating children with a secure attachment. And if you had asked me 5 years ago what this topic was, I would have had no idea. So it's really important. It's critically important that parents and educators understand this information because it's all about how we can better relate to one another, and relationships are so vital in today's world. So I'm really excited to give you this topic and help you feel calm, confident, and resourced to raise emotionally healthy and connected children in a complex modern world. So if we have not met yet, my name is Kim Marshall, and I am a conscious mother and leader. I am also a JAI certified parenting coach with a master's in teaching. I work online just like this. I have an international community where I do coaching, educational consulting, and I speak. I have three main, customers or client bases. I serve conscious parents, I serve conscious educators, and I also serve conscious entrepreneurs. I am the founder of Roots and Wings Childhood, and my mission is to help anxious mothers unlearn and relearn what it takes to mother themselves and their children with connection instead of control. So let me give you a little bit of background, my story and my why as to what I do and why I get up and love this work every single day. I was a teacher for 15 years and left the classroom in 2020. I absolutely loved being a teacher and never imagined that my life would evolve the way it has. But what I loved the most about teaching was helping families. And unlike a lot of my colleagues, I just thrived in parent-teacher interviews because I knew that every chance I got to talk to parents, the whole family unit would benefit from the conversations that we were having. And I really, really valued the connection between home and school. And in my 15 years as a teacher, I saw incredible things and I saw hard things and I saw sad things. And I realized that in 2020, I needed to step away. And the best way for me to help children was to help their parents. So that is why I do what I do. I believe that in the world that we're living right now, there is sort of a war on children and mothers in particular, and women. And so my why is to protect childhood. I really am so passionate about protecting childhood. We are racing through life, and our children are growing up really quickly, and there are risks to that. So I protect childhood through three main pillars in my work: child development education, which means really helping parents understand what is happening inside of their child, what's happening inside of the child's brain, their heart, their body, helping them understand milestones and leaps that are happening. Also, family unit care, which means really helping the whole unit thrive that could mean building morning and evening routines, and just the day-to-day sort of things that help groups and help families feel good inside of their homes. And then inner child healing and reparenting is sort of some of the deeper work that I do for those who are ready. And that is what I'm going to be touching on mostly today, because I think it's so misunderstood and so under valued. So I will be doing a deep dive on that. My conscious parenting approach really means that I'm a parent centric parent coach. I work with families who have toddlers to teenagers, and it doesn't really matter what is going on with the child or how old they are, because I work with the parent. I really believe through my training and my education and my experience that the child is a mirror for their environment. So when a parent comes to me and they are saying that their child is behaving in a way that is very difficult for them, they don't know how to respond. Um, it is the work of the parent that we can control, because we actually can't control other people. We can't control our children, which is such a wake up call for parents, right? When they realize, oh my gosh, my 3-year-old won't listen to me, or my 7-year-old, right? They go through these really big leaps where they are really desiring so much more independence and autonomy. And the parent can't control the child, but they can control themselves. And there's so much that we can do when it comes to our language and our approach, and just setting up holistic environments for our children so that they can mirror our behavior and thrive. That is where you can find me on Instagram. I hang out mostly, and my email and my website, which I'll also put at the end of this presentation. A little bit of a roadmap for today. My goal is for you to grow in your awareness around attachment science and have a deeper understanding of how this information can be embodied to support your connection with yourself and with your child. I'm going to be talking for about 45-50 minutes, and then we can chat for a little bit. Before we move forward, I would just ask you to put your feet on the floor and ground yourself. I like to sort of go through the beliefs that I hold so that we can anchor ourselves in a place of safety and trust before we move forward. So go ahead and put your feet on the floor. And if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes or put one of your hands over your heart. And the beliefs that I hold are kind of the through lines or the norms that go through the work and the messaging that I deliver. And I'm sure that we have a lot of the same beliefs, and that's why you found me today. I really believe that you are doing the best you can. I know that. I've never met a mother or a father or a caregiver that is not doing the best that they can. I also know that you're a really good parent in a dysfunctional world, which is why this is so dang hard. There's a lot working against us. It's never too late to make changes. Never, ever, ever too late for that. No matter how hard things feel today, no matter what kind of bad habits you are seeing building in your home, you can always turn it around. You have a lot of power. Parents are leaders in their home. I really believe that. I really believe that every parent can step into their sturdy leader position. And I also believe that parenting is the hardest, most important job you will ever have. And that's why we're here today. Our children are worth it. We are all connected through this education summit today because we care so deeply about children. And that is our mission, and that is what ties us all together. So no matter where you are, what path you're on, you're here because you really care about children. So let's talk about attachment. I think that attachment information should be available in teachers college, and it should be available to parents in that course that you get when you become a parent. It doesn't exist. Okay, so that's what I'm here to give you now. I'm giving you the information so that you can grow your awareness, and that's all you really need to make change is new awareness. So attachment, if you've never heard of it before, means that there is an emotional bond that forms early in childhood that is based on our parents' behavior. And in the first few years of life, unconscious patterns become set in place, and our attachment style is at the core of how we form all relationships. Your attachment orientation is your brain and body's way of organizing behavior to meet your need for security and safety. Okay. So, what does that mean? It is sort of the lens that you see the world with. Okay. If you grew up with a certain attachment style, you will literally go through your life seeking information to um, reinforce that belief system. Okay. And so we will talk about how that doesn't mean your history is not your destiny, and that it is a very flexible thing, but you have to be able to be aware of it in order to change it. Parenting is all about being present for our kids. Okay. I'm going to be talking about a book today that I absolutely love. It's a text, a core text in the work that I do. Dr. Dan Siegel and Tina Payne Bryson, The Power of Showing Up. It says in this book, the longitudinal research on child development clearly demonstrates that one of the very best predictors for how any child turns out in terms of happiness, social and emotional development, leadership skills, meaningful relationships, and even academic and career success is whether they developed security from having at least one person who showed up for them. These studies reveal a universal finding across cultures around the globe. So, what does that mean? That means that a child, in order for them to thrive in life, needs one meaningful adult who demonstrates presence. And that might be a parent and it might be an educator. We all have a role to play when it comes to giving our children what they need, which is presence. Okay. Sounds simple. I'm going to break it down a little bit more for you. So, parenting is all about being present for our kids. Okay, there are lots of barriers to providing presence because we can have this beautiful intention that we can give our child what they need, but the world is not built for us to be able to consciously connect and be present with our children. So that's why this work is so rebellious and it is so counterculture, because it means that we need to be thinking about the way that we show up and what we have to offer the people that we love. So I really applaud you for being here and thinking about this with me, because it's so important and it's so beautiful to be a change maker. So, barriers to the quality of our presence. Okay, obviously, time and schedules, first and foremost. There's so much to do. There's so much to do and so little time, right? Which is really just a mindset. Work days, work loads. Work is just a lot for all of us. A lot of families are double working families. That can lead to lots of work, and especially lots of people working in the home. They don't have clear boundaries around when their work and family life starts and stops. Okay, this began in the pandemic, and so it's an invitation for us to really look at time blocking and making sure that we have really clear distinctions around when those things happen, because otherwise we're just multitasking all the time And that doesn't feel good for anybody. Chronic stress is a huge barrier to presence. So is technology and phones. Obviously, the distraction and the addiction is real. It requires a lot of intention and self discipline. The world is a very noisy, chaotic, confusing place. Okay. So when we're not crystal clear about what's important to us, we can just kind of get hooked on anything and everything, and it can really pull us away from our presence. And obviously, the world is just generally sort of unwell right now. So having a health challenge can really pull you out of presence because it can be distracting. There's a lot of people who have chronic pain or are just dealing with a lot of things that take them out of their knowing, take them out of their truth. And there's things in the way that are just um, not letting them access the clarity and the truth that they need for them to be present. Okay. So those are all small things, but they're actually really tangible um, things that we have a lot of control over. And then there's trauma, which I do want to talk about because I believe that trauma sounds quite scary, and we all have trauma. So it's important for us to understand what trauma is so that we can kind of see it up close and have less misunderstandings about it, and less it's less threatening. Okay, so there's actually two kinds of trauma: little t traumas, which are small things, and big T traumas, which you probably think about when you think about trauma. You think about violence, disaster, abuse, death, war, terrible things that can happen to us or in our lineage. And so that's also important to know because trauma is passed on. So things that happen to our ancestors, we also carry until we're ready to heal those things. And then little t traumas happen quite often and deserve a little bit more attention. That might include something like rejection or unmet emotional needs. The pandemic was absolutely a little t trauma. Divorce can happen in families, bullying, financial stress. And the research is showing that ongoing little t traumas can actually be more detrimental to a child's development than one big T trauma. So, this is really important because we care about our children's emotional health. And so, acknowledging this um, and knowing that this is part of uh, our landscape. If you have a classroom, if you take care of children, if you have children in your home, it's just really important. I believe that classroom teachers should be familiar with trauma informed work. I believe that teachers and educators need to be aware of the ACEs, which you can look up so that you know what your child is coming into the world with, and so that you can help them form a secure attachment despite some of these things you might not have control over. Okay. So, if parenting's about being present for our kids, what can we do when there's so many things threatening our relationships? Okay. Here's what you can do. The key to offering your child a beautiful relationship is to be in relationship with yourself. Okay. That is the thing. If we are in relationship with ourselves, we can offer that to them. How can you ever offer something you don't have yourself? If you are not securely attached to yourself, how can you offer secure attachment to the people that you love the most? The relationship that we have with ourselves is based on the way that our primary caregiver related to us. Okay. So you can kind of see the cycle or the circle. And this is such a story of hope because no matter what happened in the past, it does not predict your future. And there are some really simple, not easy, but simple things you can do to heal attachment wounds, and move forward. There are 4 attachment styles. Secure attachment, obviously, is the goal. And then there's 3 insecure styles, which are quite common. Insecure avoidant attachment. I'm going to define these in a minute. Insecure ambivalent attachment and insecure disorganized attachment. As I read you these definitions and as you're starting to think about yourself and psychoanalyze yourself, I want you to know that um, it's not a doom or gloom situation. It is really about understanding where you came from so that you can make a decision about moving forward. It's also very common for people to move um, throughout these attachment styles. So you're going to potentially see yourself in different ones, and you can show up differently in different times. So be very gentle and kind with yourself as we kind of walk this path. A secure attachment results from a relationship with consistent physical and emotional safety, letting the child be seen and letting the child be soothed. Okay, ultimate goal, right? Um, Only about 50 to 60% of adults have a secure attachment. You can see why when you think about all of those barriers that we talked about earlier. Okay. An insecure avoidant attachment means that you have behaviors that seek to avoid, hide from, or ignore strong feelings. And the superpowers of that avoidant attachment style include confidence, independence, giving your child extra space and freedom, and you're also really good at respecting your child's boundaries. Okay. Kind of a positive spin. If you have an ambivalent attachment style, your behaviors aim to fix, change, or prevent strong feelings, often resulting in anxiety and doubt. A superpower of that attachment style may include caring deeply and tuning into your child, taking responsibility for your actions, and learning and growing as you evolve. An insecure, disorganized attachment includes behaviors that can seem extreme and erratic, alternating between warm and threatening, volatile, and highly reactive. Obviously, even as I read that, you can sense the threat there. That does not feel good. But superpowers may include lots of compassion, creativity, a strong desire for connection, and a deep sense of gratitude and appreciation. Insecure attachment is a global issue. Over 32% of US adults suffer from an attachment disturbance, with similar rates reported across other Western countries. Attachment disturbances are one of the biggest challenges faced in psychotherapy today. And I personally believe that attachment disturbances are responsible for most nervous system dysregulation, which I think we're going to see in the next 10 to 15 years, connected to a lot of disease. So, this is sort of preventative medicine, too, if you will. Attachments are not fixed. All right. This is the good news. We are in a position where we can literally take this information and end generational trauma. When we heal our own pain, we also heal the next generation after us. Pain from an attachment disorder is passed on through the family line until someone is ready to heal it. Issues are intergenerational and can often be shared across several generations of families. So I really believe, before I go there, I really, really, really believe in every cell in my body that what children really need are healed adults in their life. That is what I believe. I have witnessed the education system, and we need healed adults leading classrooms. We need healed adults in homes. We need conscious parenting strategies, not perfection. It's never about perfection. It's just about awareness and healing and moving forward. And um, yeah, I believe that that is what our children need the most. So if you're curious about figuring out what your attachment story is and where you're orienting, you can go to the attachment project and you can take 5 minutes. Don't do it now, do it after, but attachmentproject.com, and you can answer a few questions and learn a lot more about what your attachment style is. It's also a really great website where you can do some further reading and yeah, if that's something that you're interested in and you want to explore, that's a really good resource. This is also a really good resource. The book that I mentioned earlier, Healing Our Attachment Story. The Power of Showing Up is just such a great text. Every teacher in every school, every parent in every home needs to read this book, especially if you don't have a good template from your childhood. If you don't have sturdy leadership, if you didn't have modeling when you grew up and you're not really sure like what to do and how to show up, this is just a really great text about attachment. And it gives great examples, great illustrations, great language scripts on how to really show up with parental presence. Okay, how much have you reflected on the ways your childhood experiences influence your own development, thus predicting and influencing the way you interact with your children? All right. This is the work. This is the work that I do every single day. What does it mean to show up? This book breaks it down really simply, and they talk about the 4 S's. So, this is what I want to leave with you today. This is a simple, actionable 4-step sort of framework that you can literally try tonight. I'm also going to drop the link for a summary sheet um, on these 4 S's in the chat so that you can download it and keep it on your refrigerator, keep it on your classroom wall, and reference it because children need us to show up with the 4 S's: safe, seen, soothed, and secure. So I'm just like summarizing what's in the book right now. Okay. So safe, the way that Dan Siegel and Tina Fey Priceton talk about safety is that we can't always insulate a child from injury or avoid doing something that leads to hurt feelings. But when we give a child a sense of a safe harbor, she will be able to take the needed risks for growth and change. Okay, so safety means providing a safe harbor. So easier said than done. Also, depending on how much safety you have inside of yourself. Okay. Seen. What does being seen mean? How can we help our children feel seen? Truly seeing a child means we pay attention to his emotions, both positive and negative, and we strive to attune to what's happening in his mind beneath the behavior. Soothed isn't about providing a life of ease. It's about teaching your child how to cope when life gets hard and showing him that you'll be there with him along the way. A soothed child knows that he'll never have to suffer alone. All right. Seeing our children suffer is very difficult for a parent. And so it's really not about paving that path and making sure that they never ever have conflict or difficulty or struggle. It's just about making sure that they don't feel like they have to walk that path by themselves. Security. When a child knows that they can count on you and your time to show up over and over again, when you reliably provide safety, focus on seeing her and soothing her in times of need, she will trust in a feeling of secure attachment and thrive. So, these 4 steps are the path forward towards healing your own insecure attachment and providing a secure base for your child or the children in your care. What I do in parent coaching is many, many things, but what I think is the most important value that I offer is a reparenting process. And what that means is bringing awareness to the templates that we have received and making a decision about what we want to bring forward and what we want to leave behind. The third step is to become conscious to the inner child that we all carry inside of us and using our triggers as guides. When we become triggered to our child's behavior, we can see that consciously as something that needs to be healed for us. If something that your child is doing is really bothering you, we have to check in with our inner child and see what that means because our body remembers the the things we didn't receive or we need to receive, and we can actually give ourselves that now. Okay. So asking our inner child what it needs to be considered. So that is the reparenting process. We can parent ourselves and our own inner child. And when our needs are met, we know how to meet the needs of our children. But we can't show up from a place of being wounded and triggered and expect to create secure attachment with our children. Seeking professional support to guide you in this process is highly recommended, whether it is therapy, counseling, coaching, but rewiring neural pathways is possible for those who are open to examining their belief systems. And it's actually the most exciting, liberating experience. And I'm so privileged that I get to see and witness mothers in my practice being able to transform the way that they see their own triggers and the way that they relate to their children so that their homes can become those safe harbors that they desire. I want to give you an example of how this can look. So, Sarah and her daughter's morning routine. I've changed her name, obviously, but parent came to me and told me that she was having a really difficult time getting her daughter to school in the morning. So common, right? And it's also so stressful because nobody wants to start their day in a battle. Okay. So I talked to Sarah a lot about her daughter's needs for autonomy and how we can create visuals to make things go a little smoother. But the root of all of this distress was the two of them really going back and forth. They couldn't get out the door without shouting and yelling at each other. And Sarah was very triggered by her daughter pushing back, which I reminded Sarah was normal and healthy and developmentally appropriate. Um, but in this, over several weeks, we were able to determine that, and I'm going to really simplify this for the just in the interest of time, but Sarah was able to come to a place where she could identify that the trigger for her was um, her daughter not hearing her. She felt like when her daughter wasn't doing what she told her to do, that she wasn't heard. And so we go through some exercises where I can say, like, Sarah, where did you feel this in your body? And when was the time? Can you remember? Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's not, a time in your life when you weren't, when you didn't feel heard. Okay. And she could find that. And so she realized that it wasn't actually anything her daughter was doing or not doing in that morning routine getting out the door. There was nothing wrong with her daughter having her own opinions and pushing back, because that's what children do. It was actually Sarah reliving her experience of not feeling heard in her childhood. Psh, that's big. It's so simple, but it's so big. And so now Sarah is armed with somatic tools so that she can literally talk herself through that moment when that happens and find safety within herself. And when she finds safety within herself, she can respond to her daughter instead of react to her daughter. And that just makes things feel better. It's not about never having a conflict or never having a different opinion. It's just about being able to um, relate in new ways. Okay. So that is the end of my presentation, and I hope you learned something new today. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for being open to this work. I also want to invite you to reach out, and if parent coaching is for you and you mentioned the Refound Education Summit, I'm going to give you $200 off a 6-week private coaching package, just to thank you for being here. I'm going to drop my links in the chat, as well as the handout that I have for you today. And this link has my website. It has my booking page. You can sign up for my newsletter. And let me see if I can do that while I'm sharing my screen. Yeah, chat. Okay.
And I'll be sure to connect it on the recording so that people can easily access your resources.
Amazing. So there's the refrigerator sheet, which is like those 4 S's really broken down, and then my links. So here's my info again. Look forward to hearing from you, and I'm happy to stick around for a few questions.
I have some comments. This is so powerful. I feel that this is needed in a time of chaos, confusion, all the things you had mentioned, and we're in this major shift. It is so crucial. And I know this might appeal to a lot of the early adopter parents, because some parents might think they're going to be judged, and I really encourage you to kind of not think of it that way. Kim is non-judgmental and warm and care and understands that. And I think we need to, like, breaking generational curses is it's pretty laborious. I'm not sure if everyone is experiencing the same labor that you do and your families do, but it's work.
Like holding on to it is work. Releasing it is work too, but holding on to it is actually more work.
Oh, solid point.
Yes.
You do have to choose your heart too.
Yes, 100% you do. And I want to speak to that judgment piece for a while, because I think that you probably have a good point. I create a lot of safety in my container. So if a parent comes to me, they really learn quite quickly that I'm not here to change them or to um, take them from their way to my way. That's not the path. The path is for parenting to feel good for them. And so usually when parents come to me, things are hard. Don't wait for the house to be on fire. Do this work while things feel good, and while um, you can think openly, open heart, open mind. That's what I would say. It's not, there's no one way of parenting, obviously. I mean, it feels obvious to me, but maybe it's not obvious. There's no one way. I want parenting to feel good for you and your unique family. Every single family is so unique, which is why I love the work I get to do, because every single family that I work with is just like so fascinating. And I get to walk you home. I get to walk you home to a place that feels good for you. And so every single coaching call opens with like celebrations because we really don't spend very much time talking about the things that are going well in our parenting and the things that feels like a struggle for you. You get to decide the path, and the target is always helping parenting feel good for you based on what's important to you. um, and so I'm just a facilitator in that process. um, and there is no judgment because there's really nothing to judge. Every parent is truly doing the best that they can. And when parents come to me, like, you know, parents parents are good parents, all parents, every single one of them. Um, so yeah.
And I think too, um, how you said motherhood is like moms are under attack and everything is just family unit is under attack. But I think we've moved towards this place where we're just expected to do everything alone. And it's but
Mhm.
before we didn't you need a village. It's always been a common understanding that a village has value, and I think bringing it back to some of those grassroots um perspectives of, being there for each other. And um when you have like educators are not equipped with this. Like Kim was 100%. She was the clearly the unicorn in the bunch. Because a lot of parents, even when I was in teachers college, because my background was in mental health, people were saying like, "Oh, I'm going to kick the kids out of class." I'm like, "And put them where? And tell the parents what?" Um, you always want to be made to feel that you have hope, your kids have hope, and the messages that you presented are give a sense of hope. And
Good. Yeah, good. I'm glad they felt that way because that's the way I want to deliver them. It is empowering.
Mhm.
Once you learn this information, it's a big responsibility, but it's also like in our control. Yeah, that is the good news. There are so many things we can't control, but we can be leaders in our home. And if we all did that, imagine how different the world would be. The world is so hungry for good leaders, leadership, strong leaders, strong, sturdy leaders. So,
Definitely. And I think when you guide with love, you are a bit biased and you can kind of, it's like the horses with the,
mhm,
um, that was a big kind of, because even with your mental health background, I'm around all kinds of amazing people. And then, but when you're guiding with love, sometimes it just doesn't come to the front of the brain. And then you hear people talk about it and you're like, yes, yes.
mhm,
Like it's good to like you need that, you know, that back and forth. You need the brainstorming,
mhm,
and it is hard. Like right now, people are kind of the healing process is a little bit like pulling yourself apart and putting yourself back
mhm,
together, setting
mhm,
boundaries, all the things.
mhm,
And with Kim in your life, you've taken steps to make all of that process easier. Um, and yeah, and even if you're an educator and you think you should know it all, don't worry, you're human. You're not supposed to reach out and break some of those barriers, and it'll, you know, encourage positive collaboration and
mhm,
rich dialogue to improve ourselves. Um,
mhm.
we always learn from each other, and if we think we know it all, then well, then you're done. And I
Then you're
think
probably not here. You're probably not listening to this.
that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much to know. And even me, I am like in this work. Like I have a family and I am running my private practice and I think about children and families all day, every day. And I'm like just touching the tip of the iceberg. Like I've got triggers, like we've got stuff, like I'm deep in research, I'm deep in the integration process. It is lifelong. work.
And the movement that's being created, it's one of those things like right now you have the early adopters, and then they're like, ooh, this is fantastic. And then you're going to start, it's going to be like an onion. More people are going to see the benefits and the success rates. Um, and I think it'll just have this beautiful snowball effect. And our kids, we're going to wonder why we didn't, break those limitations within our souls ages ago.
I know, but it was meant for now, right? Like it is meant for now. It's why it's happening to me. It's why I left education. I mean, I had to go through my dark night of the soul. Like I had to move across the country. I didn't even mention this, but in 2020 I left Ontario, left my job, and now we live on the east coast of Canada because in 2020 when the world went crazy, we had to get really clear in our leadership and really clear about our core family values so that we could live a lifestyle that felt like we could protect our daughter's childhood and live in alignment. Um, I think that you're right. Relationship work is going to blow up. And I think that the biggest surprise for parents when they're learning about this and they're coaching, because they come to me with like that pain point, like my kid won't listen to me when we're leaving for school, like that and it just the onions, like you're talking about this layers and the layers. And once you are in relationship with your child and found safety within yourself, it actually impacts every relationship in your life.
True.
So the parents I work with are really surprised that they can apply this work, these principles, these skills that they're building to not just their children, but their spouse, their family, their friends, their colleagues, um, it's relationship work is relationship work. We're all human beings, and we all relate um, through these same principles that we do with our children. So it's kind of a beautiful side benefit.
Um, I heard about a movement recently, and it speaks to your like the chaos in the world and the need for positive relationships. The movement is teenagers getting flip phones to yeah, to stay away from the noise. And which I was like, that's amazing. And then some parents, which I thought was pretty creative, they started taking turns on doing tech-free parties for their young people. So they would prepare, like snacks, and they have karaoke and, fun little things. And the parents will do like record little snippets and stuff of their having fun. But and then send it to them. But essentially what they do is they take turns, have these tech-free parties, and you see all of these kids just asking for more of it and
Uh,
asking for more connections. They have more connections with the parents and just starting to create this uh, if we can work together to create this world where we are just securely attached to
yeah,
each other
I
in a
know.
positive way. Um,
Oh, cool. I
yeah,
have not heard of that, but I love that. That's like old school. We need to like go old school. Yeah.
yeah, we need a little bit of old school, a little bit of new school. Some of the old school I don't dig. Like I've had some parents who are like, "Oh, you can spank my child," and I was like, "We don't do that here."
Yeah. Yeah, but
Some of
like,
these old school principles we definitely need to leave in the dark ages. But these like the sense of not using technology and just
mhm,
all of that, playing together.
simple foundations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like most of the things that I start with parents look like sleep,
Oh,
quality, restful sleep, restorative sleep. Yeah. Like it's basic, simple, but not easy, right? Like what we put in our bodies matters. How much time we spend outside matters. So, like, it's not difficult for those who want to see changes. And we all have like blind spots. We all have like, we're just in our own lanes. And so it's so helpful to work with somebody who can like help us see what the missing pieces are, make suggestions, offer like these menus that we can pull from, because ultimately it's your journey.
I love that because when you look at everything from such a wide lens, it's like,
Yeah.
but Kim can really help you just break it down into smaller goals, figure out what you should tackle first, small steps like sleep, whatever you can do. And next thing you know, you're 20 steps ahead because you've taken the small steps towards this bigger goal. And
Mhm.
so definitely be sure to check her out. She is just a heart-centered, amazing person, and I'm so blessed to have you here. Thank you for coming. I'm not sure if you want to close out with anything.
No, that's all. Thanks for having me. This was really fun.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see your movement explode, and we will keep sharing until it does, and even then after. So, got to keep it alive.
Amazing.
For everyone.
So, thanks for being here.
Bye.